Hi, welcome to Tea Time with Amy and Bev. Good morning.
Good day.
Good day, wherever you may be at this moment. Still having video issues on my side, so we're just gonna roll with it, and it's just the way it is. So right now,
So how are things going?
well, they're doing all right. Things are flourishing, and got some stuff in the works coming up. So I'm super excited about that. And I was presented a while back from a like colleague. She's in the mastermind. She's in the mastermind group I'm in. And she said that one of the things that she does is she writes out a to-do list for the universe.
Nice.
And I've heard this before from Esther channeling Abraham, that she said, make a list of the things that you can do, but there's a lot of things that the universe can take care of, and you make their list. So I remember hearing that like long time ago. But when we're ready to implement or ready to hear something and really take it in and be a part of us, where it's presented again, which has happened. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been creating this list. So when I have classes, I have my to-do list, but then I take, a separate piece of paper. And what she does is she writes out the universe's list, and she folds it up and puts it in an envelope, tucks it away. And then like 3 weeks later, she'll pop it out, see what the universe is taking care of, and then refresh her list and just keep that process going. So I've been doing that. It's been quite fun.
Nice. I remember, because I've done the same thing, and I think it was from Esther. I was almost thinking it was from someone else, but I think it was from Esther, because writing it down on one side. Because I used to do that. I mean, like 5 years ago. You say like a while ago. I would probably say it was like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And sitting and writing that stuff, but never did I put it in an envelope and then check it off later on. And that to me sounds like fun. So you just put it, I mean, when you think about it, it's to put it on your list and you don't sit and worry about it. Nice. So you just don't sit and think about it. You don't worry about it. You just put it out there and then you move on. And that's what we're supposed to do, and find ways to be in a space of joy and happiness as much as possible.
Yeah. And it's fun. And, the list can always be altered and add to and take off and just adjust as you're going along. And so, yeah, it's been a good, this is, I just started this at the beginning of the year. So
gotcha. Good reminder. It's a good reminder to get back into that space again. And the thing that kind of hit me, because I was meditating beforehand, is how much time does everyone put into themselves? Like, how much time do they put into their spiritual development? How much time are you really putting into yourself, or how much time are you really wasting? And I shouldn't say wasting, because we could just say not putting time into your spiritual path, because there is no wasting. There's always something to be gained regardless. If you live a life angry for a long time and all of a sudden you wake up 50 years later and you're not angry anymore, you've had some realizations and have an ideal, this is my creation that I've created. I don't have to be in here anymore, in this space anymore. That's awesome. But it's just a good reminder. It's a good reminder that nothing is permanent. And that's another thing we can lead right into right now. If you're noticing things, structures, permanent structures, things that you thought were permanent, were going to stay the same, are changing. There is no such thing as a permanent structure. There's not. Things are breaking down and falling down. There's even got a surprise notice yesterday that there was a doctor's office that they have been renting or leasing a space, and then all of a sudden that space has been shut down from them. They have till next week. They just received notification and they have to be out of this space, a practice, out of this space by next week. So it just goes to show you structures. But it's not to be so upset and hold on to that structure and hold on to all the wrongdoings. Well, they wouldn't let us re-sign a lease, or this happened and this happened and this happened. There's always a better reason, right? So even making your list, it's even the universe's list, and it's a brand new truck or even better. It's always being open to better. And then let it razzle dazzle you. You put it into your envelope and look at it. How long did you say? Like for a couple weeks, check it every week, or 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 3. Okay.
She
Which
does
is not,
3
that's
weeks.
good.
Yeah. She does 3 weeks, and that's, I mean, you know, in that time I've had an online class. I'm into the 14 days of self-love. And so now I'm, you know, I have these other things coming up. So I actually just started writing out another list for stuff coming up. So, and you can do it not, you know, I'm doing it focused on my business, but you can do it in all areas of your life.
Yeah.
Health, relationships, money, career, you know, doesn't matter, whatever you want to focus on, and you could do it for all of them.
Yeah. And then it goes,
No limitation.
and it opens up more doors. So like taking the time to write your story. What does your story look like? What do you feel good and you're going to write that on a piece of paper? What does that even look like? Oh gosh, Bev was so happy this morning. She woke up this morning and she had a feeling that someone was going to contact her and that needed some assistance, and they did. And the conversation went so great, and she was so connected, and the client, you know, it's writing your story.
Right.
It's a doing, it's not just on, this is like opening the doorway, and this is all good for myself as well, because there's a lot of things. Let me tell you, it's easy to get wrapped in the shit. It really is.
Really
You
is.
know, I've complained about my hair issues, and it's held pretty well, but the growth of it coming back. And I woke up this morning, and this is the space that I was in. I was in that space again. And it's like, I can sit here and go through this space, feel, and my whole thing was like feeling like I did something wrong, like I'm being punished for something. So recognizing, and it's like, that's bullshit. For me, I'm sitting here telling myself this morning, that's a bullshit story.
Yeah.
That's an old story of thinking you did something wrong all the time. That's why something's happening to you. Okay, well, if it is a bullshit story, where do you go from there? So I'm asking myself, where do I go from here? How do I evolve from this? How can I go through life not feeling like I've done something wrong? Even still, like, question these things. And I could be in that victim space, which I was there for a second. It was bullshit. Like, that's how it felt. And it's all right. It's all right to be in that space and honor that space. But I don't want to stay in that space. Why? Because it doesn't freaking feel good. It feels like shit. It just doesn't feel good. So to me, it's like, okay, well, that was great for a second. Now what? Like, how do I move beyond this? And then that goes to the whole part of, how much time am I devoting to myself? I'm not. I could find a million things to do. My one day off that I had, well, I mean, I'm off, but I have my baby, my grandbaby, one of them, Mondays and Tuesdays. But I had my day off Sunday. I spent cleaning. Like, I cleaned the floor and did some things because it was things that I wanted to get done. And then there was a couple other things that got done. I had taken care of that same day too. And that's another part of the conversation. Don't put off the things that if you do them right now, then you don't sit and stress about them. You don't worry about them. Freeman used to always say, he tells me, I do it the lazy way. As soon as it hits his mind, as soon as he gets a thing in the mail that says it's requesting paperwork, that paperwork is done as soon as that paper comes in. I have not operated that way in my whole life, but there's a reason that he's in my experience for me to learn. It's an opportunity that, oh, here's a different way of doing things. It's to take care of things right now, because the old way was procrastinating and putting it off, right? Same thing. Doing that the whole time, and then not getting the resolve, but feeling the weight of the world on you. And then next thing you know, Jesus, I'm answering my own questions. This is freaking good. But the next thing you know, you're getting answers and information, because this is, so my hair, there's some stuff going on with teeth. There's some stuff, stuff going on, because I allow things to build up and build up. It's not because of the physical body I'm building up and building up. It's because in the emotional body, I'm building this up. And this is how it's showing up for me. So it's an opportunity to start following through. All of it is, but like I said, the victim can come in and say, oh my God, this is bullshit. This is all happening. This is horrible. This is and then go tell everybody, show everybody what's going on, you know, talk about it all day long, right? Bringing everything into the fruition that I don't want into fruition. That's not what I want to bring to myself, but that's what we do. That's the old habit. But again, it doesn't feel good. So this is all an opportunity. And it's, how can I ask? Well, I can make my list like you started off with, make my list to the universe. This is something I don't know how to do. I don't know how to do because I don't remember right now. It doesn't mean that I'm not capable of it. It doesn't mean the answers aren't going to show up. It doesn't mean we can't have miraculous healings and all this other stuff. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. But what are we doing on a daily basis? How much time and focus are we giving to the things that we want versus the things that we don't want? And I will tell you, I'm not always giving my energy to things that I want.
It's a
I'm
practice.
not. You guys get to hear the great stories of everything else afterwards, but you're not, you know, you're not around with me all day long. That might be fun for some, and then sometimes it might not be so fun. Because
Yeah.
guess what? Sometimes it's not so much fun.
Yeah.
I walk through the muck and the mire just like a lot of other people do. But we have to.
The difference is you don't stay in it like most people do.
Yeah.
You used to do. So that's the difference.
And I also understand it's for my evolution because we don't evolve without something happening in our circumstances. Let's face it, when things come so naturally to us, we don't even notice them. I'm reading this book. A client comes in, a very awesome person that's everything. She's just amazing. She comes in and she hands me 3 books of channeling, like just hands them. She says, I got them and they just don't resonate with me. And I'm like, okay, well, but this goes along with what kind of questions, what kind of conversations was I having with myself before about this? I wonder if this is really what I should be doing. I want, you know, and it's like, well, Bev, it can't get much louder than 3 books that all say channeling on the front page. On the cover. So, I mean, there's just little things, and it's just to pay attention to, but you miss those things if you stay in a victim mode. You miss those things if you think the world's against you. You miss those things if you think you're being punished by other things because you're just not steering in that direction. Your eyes aren't in that direction.
Just making sure you're taking a breath. You're on a roll, sister. I love it. I gotta go back because you've covered so much in just that short amount of time that I want to just go back and, you know, you're talking about the hair loss and teeth issues and you know, something's wrong with me. When we know something, that's not your words, but you know, that's what we say. Something's wrong with me or my body's against me. No, your body's an indicator.
Exactly.
Body's an indicator of what's going on or what has been going on. Anything that's going on right here, right now is accumulation of what's been going on in your energetic vibration, your thoughts, words, and emotions. That's all been that snowball that I use as an example that you put at the top of the hill and it rolls down and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Well, then that's also stress, and that shows up in the body. In the body, we know stress is the #1 cause of most diseases. And so when we recognize how have I been stressing myself out? When you tell somebody, for example, in a state that Bev is in right now with her hair and her teeth and whatever else is going on, and you say, okay, your body's an indicator of what you've been doing. We immediately, typically, we think about yesterday. Well, I had a good day yesterday. I don't understand. And my life's been good over these past 2 weeks. Okay, but what about the past 52 years, right? What have you been hanging on to the past 52 years that's still residing in your body, that still that energy is in there, and you haven't been in a space yet to allow it to come to the surface, look at it and heal it, or it's there and you know it, but you're ignoring it. I know I'm still hanging on to this experience with this person and I'm still pissed off at them and I cannot forgive them and la, 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 la. We know the story. We all have that story. Okay, great. But who's suffering? Suffering is a choice. Suffering, let me say it again. Suffering is a choice. Pain in life is most likely going to occur for every single one of us, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain. Every single one of us on this planet is probably going to experience that. The suffering of that pain is a choice. So It's not just yesterday or the past 2 weeks or even the past 6 months. It could be years of accumulation of stuff that is still in the body that just either one, you're ignoring it, or two, it just hasn't surfaced yet, or you haven't allowed yourself to be in a space to allow it to come up. So, and then, talking about the to-do list and not taking time for yourself, and then you used house cleaning as an example, but immediately what came to me was, well, cleaning your house is some self-care.
It is.
We want a clean environment. We want to freshen up our space. We want to clear some of that old energy. So that is okay. So my programming has been not being a super great housekeeper in the past. But now I still, it takes me a little bit to get myself amped up into doing it, because I could be doing so many other things that are so much more joyful. But I get myself into a space of, I'm clearing the energy. I'm releasing some old energy. I'm freshening up my space. I've even gotten into, going and buying myself flowers and putting them on my table, my dining room table, and allowing that energetic cleansing and knowing that I'm freshening up the energy around me. So that is a part of self-care. And if we can take ourselves from, oh, I have to do this. I got to clean my house, got to do my laundry, I got to do the dishes, right? This is ongoing. Like, this stuff's not going to go. Of course, it's a choice. You can just keep buying new clothes and never do laundry. That's your choice. No judgment here. If you got that ability, more power to you, sister. Who wants to, I know when I touch things that are dusty and I'm like, I don't like that feeling. So my choice is either just let the dust accumulate, or I got to clean on a regular basis. It's a choice, right? So getting yourself out of that mode of this is drudgery and this sucks, into how am I just shifting my energies? And it goes along with feng shui as well. Feng shui is all about your energy and the flow. Well, when we're letting dust accumulate and piles of clutter, and we're stifling that flow of energy. So I just want to make that awareness for people. And I love, because I know I can remember back almost 3 years ago, I love how much, like when we come on here, you can talk for 15, 20 minutes. And I'm just like, this is awesome. Inside, I'm just like, this is so freaking awesome, because I love how much you've expanded in yourself and in your growth and in your comfort of being here and knowing that this is out in the ethers, and anybody could see these videos.
Yeah.
Anybody could say anything about us, but we still keep showing up. And we have had nothing but good comments, just so you know,
Awesome.
on us showing up. So anyway, it just excites me to see your passion come out, and you just run with it. So I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's a celebration and a win I wanted to acknowledge you for. So
Well, thank you. I just don't notice those things really as much. And I also want to hit on, it's interesting, the conversation that you brought up, because I was listening to a blip, and I think Alex was talking to someone and it was a blip. So it was about feng shui. I know, because I was listening to the conversation. It's like, yeah, okay. And I do know that the feng shui works. And also you were hitting on holding on to anger with somebody. And the funny thing is, so as I'm asking myself some questions yesterday, and I'm like, I just don't understand, because it all started yesterday. I don't understand why this is still going on. I don't get it. Well, then it's to be aware of our thoughts, because I would get wrapped up in my mind, and all of a sudden I would see a situation that had happened, and then how my natural defense came up, and how I would be like, well, this blah, 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 blah. Just to my defense, whether I was right or wrong, but to my defense, a natural thing that I used to always do automatically. It was an automatic thing all the time. So it was like you hit on a couple of things. So that's like for everyone to pay attention, because we have this natural intuition. All of us do. And the only way you know is by listening. And it's always there. So when I'm asking questions, and I could have got, instead, I noticed I was getting wrapped up in the story and I started defending myself. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is what's showing me where I'm hung up. This is what's showing me where, what I might call a block, or what I might call, there's my splinter. You know, that's what's showing me what's going on there. And then still asking questions like, okay, well, I see that, but what do I do with that? What does that mean? How do I resolve this? How do I heal from this? How can I see myself whole again? You know, without, even though my body is not my identity, but we're also in a human experience. So in a human experience, our body is a lot of things. It's our vessel to get around. It's our vehicle, right? I mean, there's just so much importance to all this stuff. So it's really just, there's like a whole picture here. It's always just paying attention to the stuff. And then, like you said, sometimes you just don't want to hear it. And sometimes you just don't know what to do with it. Sometimes you just don't know. And that to me, that's like the best place to be. I don't know, because guess what? I don't know. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, if you think about all the stuff that's in this world right now, there is no way that we could know everything right now. Even if being a collective consciousness, we have access to all that information right now, but we're not like thinking all that stuff right that moment. We're not in all that stuff right that moment, because that's not maybe where we want to study at, or that's not, you know, I'm not going to go learn about hydroponics when I'm going to go learn about angels. You know what I mean? There's just certain things we just don't have access to. But when we start asking the questions that we have access to this information, the information starts showing up. Like all of it's there. But then I go back to the conversation of when things come naturally, we don't stop and celebrate it. Not always. Once you start recognizing it, you can stop and celebrate it. But those natural things, you just kind of overlook it. And you're like, oh, nothing's changing. I don't even know. But then I'm reading these books and I'm like, I'm doing that already. That's what I've been doing. Oh, okay. So I've been trying to define it by some other definition. So it's really, we go back to the whole definition. We talked about words recently, and it's really looking at the definition of that word, and then really feeling, how do you feel about that definition of that word? What would you add to it? Because our knowledge is inside of us, and it gives we're connected to everything, and it'll tell us different things than somebody else thought that this is what it was supposed to be. Maybe they channeled these words and definitions. I don't know. But a lot of the stuff that we've been using on a daily basis, just like the word work, is changing its perspective. But it can be changed to something else. It doesn't have to mean, oh God, like I got to go work 80 hours this week and go dig some ditches and then sit in front of a computer for 50 hours. You know, it's not anything like that. It's not. But that's the definition we've allowed.
Well, first of all, I want to say, I know you brought up Alex's video about feng shui, and I know you and I both we both watch his videos. I haven't watched his videos in over 2 weeks. And
Gotcha.
so I haven't seen that video that you're talking about. So me mentioning feng shui, that just came in through from the ether.
Awesome.
So I mean, that's how it works, right? That when you're focused on something, or you put something out there, a question or anything, it shows up.
Yes, always.
It shows up. Also, for a while, for several months, actually, there's a particular person in town that I've been thinking about. She's a friend I used to hang out with. And I was thinking about her, and I've put it out there to her relatives. I've been trying to contact her. Can you please, let her know? Here's my number, have her call me. But right, we've had these conversations that when we are not in alignment with somebody, we don't match, right? We're just not going to come into contact. Or if somebody, let's say for myself as an example, if I'm hanging on to this relationship with a grip, I'm not allowing the flow of it, which is causing resistance as well. So it's not going to line us up, right? So I was just like, well, whatever, if we ever come into contact, it's good. It's fine. just is. It just is. And then that conversation came into my head, what I just said, you know, if we're not in alignment right now, we're not in alignment, and it's okay. Wish her well, hope she's doing well, hope life's great for her, whatever. Well, I typically go to the grocery. You know what? There's a lot of stuff that happens for me at the grocery store. I just want to say that. So I normally do my grocery shopping during the day. Could be in the morning, could be in the afternoon, but it is during daylight hours. Okay. Well, last week I decided had gone to meet some people for like a late lunch. We call it dinner, between lunch and dinner. So dinner. And I thought, well, I might as well just go do my grocery shopping. Guess who's at the grocery store at night, right? So we stood there and talked, and I haven't seen her in years. And I was like, we could have stood there for hours talking. And I said, you know what? Is it okay if I have your phone number? And would you like to go to lunch or something so we can catch up? And so there she was. There we connected. And the other thing about that, though, is it was her and her husband that were there. And when we were friends was back in the day when I was in my party days, drinking days, and lower vibrational emotional days. And I had a different type, sassy, sarcastic, kind of mouthy type of personality, way more so than I do now, way more. And the energy, not of her, but of her husband, the energy of him being there kind of brought some of that forward. Just like you were saying, you know, we revert back to old behaviors or old patterns that we have. And some of that came out of me. And I was, as it's leaving the words and the attitudes, leaving my mouth and my body's feeling it, I'm like, isn't this interesting? Same thing inside. I'm like, wow, isn't this interesting? I'm showing up like this for him, you know? And I was like, wow. And it's just an acknowledgement. We are habitual beings. We have those subconscious programming that just runs the show when we get triggered in a certain way. And that becomes an awareness. That's it. It was an I said what I said, I acted the way I acted, and it was an awareness for me. People show up in our lives to help us learn and grow if we so choose, right? If we take the standpoint of this experience is helping me learn and grow within myself. He didn't do anything. He was just standing there with the grocery cart. He said, I wasn't sure if that was you or not. And I didn't want to come up and hug you and get slapped because I'm hugging some strange lady. And I just came out with this sassy, sarcastic attitude stuff. And I was like, okay, we still got that in us. Okay. I see you, sister.
Embrace it.
I know. I was like, all right.
It's funny though, but you're 100%. You're 100% on track, because I'm thinking when I go to the gym, it's a different energy there.
Yeah.
I'll walk into the gym and some of the guys will say something and I'll be like, shut your face. And I'll be totally like, I step into it. It's like a whole nother person.
Yeah.
Really it is. But at the same time, I'm having fun and they're laughing and I'm laughing, and it's not how I normally maintain myself or how I act, but there she was. Like, here I was walking through the world and somebody said something smart ass to me and I was like ready to step up for it. Because I've been there, done that.
Oh, buddy.
I'm excited that it also brings forward more people to you for them to be able to grow. Yeah. So it's a constant state of evolution. It's a constant state of evolution. And when you think about the friend, because I've had this recently too, with a couple of people, and then as soon as you let go of it, they're contacting you. Like, there they are, just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that. And again, I had gone through the same conversation before. Did I do something wrong? Did I piss them off? You know, going through that process of thinking we did something wrong, instead of it just being as simple, because mostly it is, we're on different vibrational frequencies right now because we're both evolving. And the more that we hold on to that, and I could use it, for instance, the more that I hold on to a relationship where it didn't part well and we haven't talked for a few years, you're almost holding that person in an unevolved state. Like you're not allowing that person to move forward. Not that we have control over another, but we do. If someone's having a bad day and I send them streams of grace, if someone behind me is pissed off and flipping me off, I might get irritated at first, but I'm sending them streams of grace because there's the bigger picture. Because this isn't about me. I'm sending them streams of grace. And that can change everything. We do have an influence over. So if someone's already in a low state and I'm giving them more low vibrational frequency with my thoughts, throwing it at them, I'm not helping them to evolve. I'm not loving myself enough to love them to evolve. And so when we let go of those relationships and we don't talk to someone for a few years, then things have changed because you've let go of that relationship. You've allowed that person to evolve from what you remembered, because sometimes our memory isn't always accurate and it does keep us in a space that doesn't feel good. Something so simple, right? Everyone does this. Well, if you're going on to YouTube, but if you're going on to YouTube, if you're going to go on to YouTube and you're watching something, do you sit and watch something that doesn't feel good? I don't. Back in the day, I would have finished that book. I would have finished watching what I was watching. I would have finished it because I didn't want to leave it undone. And now it's like, because today you can go on the TikTok and if you don't like it, fling, you're on to the next thing. It's really that easy. But that is such a simple game of figuring out, what do you want? What do you like? What are your passions? What aren't your passions? Oh, I don't like that. Okay, well, I don't like that, but what would I create in that place? If I don't like that one little scene, what would I have changed? If I was painting a picture and I painted something on there that I didn't like, what would I might add a tree? You know, you just change it. You don't have to stay with it. How do you know? You're listening to your guidance. You're listening to this suit that we're in. It's got all these gauges and stuff on it, lets you know when things aren't going the way you want it to go. And when things don't feel good, we have opportunities all the time. And something I heard recently was somebody had said, there is no past and there is no future. Bashar said it. And there's only right now. So if there is no past, then if I'm in the now, right now, how could I be sitting beating myself up for the bullshit that I did 20 years ago, 10 years ago? How can you? Now you're holding yourself in a space of a story you're making right now because there is no past. It's done. That was an experience. You had an experience. But that doesn't even matter anymore. What's going on right now?
I got the image in my head, like here's the past, right?
Yeah.
And here we are, and we have a bungee cord attached, and we, you know, when you stretch a bungee cord, it gets pretty tight and the tension it gets tough to move, right? It's hard to move forward, and you want to move forward. You keep taking that as much as you can, you keep moving forward, but it gets harder and harder. And then something triggers you, and what happens? Bam, you get snapped back into the past experience, and you're just holding yourself bondage to that experience. You're just shackled to it. Like you want to move, the needle forward and do all these, I want to do all these wonderful things. But if I'm still so attached to the past of the victim side of all that stuff happened to me, and they had no right to do it, and they should have known better as adults when I was a child, blah, 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 all those stories. As long as I am invested, as long as I am fully invested in that bungee cord is just going to keep snapping me back right into those old stories, those old patterns, and keep me, what I would say, is stuck. I would be stuck in it until I can get those scissors out and cut, or knife or machete or chainsaw, whatever you need to allow the process of, I no longer need to hang on to this or them, because them are attached to the stories. As long as I no longer need to hang on to this, you're just going to keep getting smacked right back into it.
Because that goes to the whole statement. If when you hold someone in darkness, you hold yourself in that same darkness. You don't allow yourself to evolve. And I want to evolve. So it's
Yeah.
just another way of something coming forward. And then it's processing. So for me, it's processing some of these things. Back in the past, I might have said, oh, I'm doing so much better. I'm sorry for this or whatever. And then all of a sudden they're throwing it in my face that I apologize to them, right? So an old habit, an old pattern. But when you get to a place, it doesn't matter anymore. The defenses don't have to be there anymore because it's not about you. You say your piece, you do what feels good to you. And for me, it's not about going and saying, well, you did this, this, and this, and this wrong, because it has nothing to do with that. Because I forgive the person and I forgive myself because I had shown up in that. There was a reason that we were in each other's experiences.
Yeah.
100%. It's not like, oh, I was 100% the innocent one. Oh, no, that's not even a true story. That's a bullshit story. If that's a story that a lot of people are telling themselves, it's a bullshit story. Then you're still defending yourself. And if you're still defending yourself, you're still holding someone in the darkness, which means you're still holding yourself in the darkness. And if
Yeah.
you want to evolve, you can't still stay in that same place. And it's like, where do you want to anchor? Do you want to anchor into the past where you're going to get bungeed back, right? Or do we want to anchor right now? And how do you know? Well, being right now, you can stop and smell some cinnamon. You can stop and feel some textures. You can close your eyes and eat some food. There's like a million things you can do in a few seconds. You can go into meditation. And meditation could be just the deep breaths, but feel how at first, when I started taking the deep breaths, my body would resist it because it was not in a habit or familiar with me taking the deep breaths.
Yeah.
Sometimes it almost be painful. When I would take the deep breath, I would notice my shoulders would roll forward. Like there was so much restriction going on. But how did I know? Just by feeling it, by stopping and feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
We have so much going on, so much that there are tools for us in our toy box that we can play with all day long. It's just like you said, but earlier, it's a matter of perspective. It's perception. Where are you at right now? What are you giving your attention to? Am I excited? Like, oh, well, there was a bump in the road. What do I do with that? Oh, there goes my truck. Oh, I wonder what the universe is going to give me now. I mean, how is that going to turn out without having to have control over it? But we've learned control, right? But that doesn't mean we have to stay there. I don't have to be bungeed to that place. I don't have to be staked to that whole ideal. And how do we not get staked to that place? It's being open. It's being receptive. It's saying, I don't know. Oh my God, universe, I don't even know how to move forward from this moment right now. I don't know how, when I say I'm going to surrender to the universe, what does that even mean? How does that even feel? If I'm giving up my free will to my soul, what does that even mean? Like, what does that look like? Does that mean I live in all in the space of joy? Well, that's what I hear. But I had that experience. No, I haven't, because I haven't fully given myself to that whole experience. We hold ourselves back and then allow ourselves whatever we think we can handle. Just like when you've learned how to put walls up and protect yourself and people get close, but you only allow them like, okay, that's close enough. Okay, that hug lasted longer than 2 seconds. I'm about to vomit. Some people actually feel like their skin's crawling when someone's giving them a hug because they feel trapped or whatever, but that's another opportunity of figuring out, why do I feel this way? Where is this even coming from? That's a weird process. But it happens. I used to be that way. I didn't want to be touched, but I wanted to be touched. You know, is it all these freaking dualities that we have? I don't want to be seen, but I want to be seen. I don't want to be heard, but I want to be heard.
Right.
All day long. All day long. I can do it myself.
Right.
I don't want to do it by myself.
No, I want help, but I can do it myself. I'll
Yes,
figure it out.
Yes. I'm cleaning the living room. I'm like, okay, angels, or, you know, because it's just a big area. I get down on my hands and knees and mop it. That's the way I do it. And I'm doing that whole process. I'm like, okay, angels, I could use some help. Well, next thing you know, it was music. Music gave me the help, next thing you know, it was done. I felt motivated. It felt good. I wiped down some walls that needed to be wiped down. And which like goes back to the whole feng shui thing. Well, how do you know? How do you know if it feels good or not? Well, try it. Try it. When the room all of a sudden seems brighter, when you barely even knocked off any dust off the walls, but all of a sudden everything seems so much brighter and inviting. Yes, that's why. Because
Yeah.
it feels good.
And receiving those messages from the universe that is helping us. So interesting enough, yesterday, I have that, that 2 authenticator thing on email, whatever, right? So you log in with your password, but then you got to have the passcode that's sent to my cell phone that I got to enter also. And so anyway, I was going through that process and the passcode got sent to me. No joke. 663322. Okay. I was like, all right, I gotta look these numbers up because that's a lot of doubles, right? So all of it was about you're doing great, stay focused, the universe is, is with you, the angels and guides are helping you, they've heard your prayer. Like it was just total confirmation of everything that I've been working on. So when I added those numbers up, they came to 22, and 2 + 2 is 4. So then something else happened, and the number popped up 44. I'm like, man, you guys are on a roll today. This is awesome. So then I take what? 4 + 4 + 4 is 12, which is 3. And I mean, 12, 3, 444 is a number I see all the time. 624 I see all the time. They both add up to 12, which equals 3. So anyway, it was like that playful way, because I was in a present moment, to acknowledge it, to see it, to take the time to recognize it. And I'm like, well, look at that. I'm right back at my 3. And then I was yesterday afternoon, I was walking down my hallway, and it was just you just for whatever reason look at the clock. So I just glanced over. It was just a quick glance as I was moving, and I could just barely see the clock on my stove, and it was 4:44. And I'm just like, this is so freaking fun. This is so fun. So that's my practice. And that's why I do this list of universes, to be playful with it, to take a lot of that. And we could feel like it's a burden. I have to take care of all these steps. I got to do all of this on my own. Well, you know what? I'm going to hand over 10 or 20 or 30 items over to the universe and be like, you take care of it. I got this that I can control, and I got this that I have time for, and I want help. And I know that the universe is there to help me. Universe has my back, as Gabriel Bernstein talks about. So why not play with it and create these lists and go back and review them and check off everything the universe has done, and have fun. I mean, one of my words for this year is easy. Let it be easy. Because I personally am one who my previous behavior was to make things difficult, so then I could solve the problem. And then I felt like I was important and made myself feel good enough because I figured it out, when I'm the one who created the damn problem in the first place. Don't need to do that anymore. We can let it be easy. It's okay. It really is. It's okay. So
at the same time, you build up confidence when you're doing that, because you were able to resolve it.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Create the problem so I can fix it, so I can feel good enough, so I can feel acceptance, so I can feel smart. I feel so smart now because I figured out my own damn problem that I created.
But you could use it, right? So instead of like being, oh God, I shouldn't be here I am doing that again. Really? It's like it's usable. It's usable because you could totally change the mood that you're in. It's very usable. It's pretty awesome when you think about it.
Sure. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I look at it and go, wow, look what a great problem solver I am. But we have to keep creating problems to solve, because there's plenty of other things to do that's going to need some resolution here. So, but the old behavior was, I needed to create a problem. It was a need, so that I felt good enough that I figured it out. Then I can be accepted and feel loved, right? There was that attachment to creating the problem. Now, because I'm practicing the word easy. All right, I do. I ask myself periodically, are you creating a problem right now, sister? Is this necessary? Well, I don't think we need to create this problem. I think we can get out of the problem creating mode and get into the creative and fun and easy mode. How about we do that? And how about we let the universe help us? You know, I have these conversations. If people were in my head, you thought I was crazy before. I was crazy before in my lower vibrational emotions. I was crazy. Now it's crazy fun. Like it's a different kind of conversations going on in my head to help me be more focused, to be in that learning mode, asking the questions. How is this showing up for me? How can I use this information to be and do better? And playful, just being in that playful mode. Like, are you really doing this again? Really? Are you sure you want to do that? No, right? It's just so fun. I entertain myself. And that's good for introverts. We're really good at entertaining ourselves. So
Well, I do it all the time too. And I was just even having the conversation yesterday, because some days I'll be very vocal and I'll just pretty much say anything that comes into my mind. Anything that comes in, I'll just automatically say it all. And I'm like, this is how it is in my mind all the time. And I don't even share everything. But on the other side of that, if you want to kind of get to know yourself more, get a pen and paper, pencil and paper, and start writing down. When you can sit there and you're talking, even when you're not in a good space, if you're in a victim mode, start writing down everything that you're thinking on that piece of paper, and then look back at it and be like, oh, wow. I can tell you right now, some of the things that have popped into my head are like, where the hell did that come from? That person is not trying to kill me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
These kind of things, like I'm talking serious. It gets a little bit carried away sometimes, but this is our minds. That's our mind that's getting out of control. We've just let it go play in the backyard without any supervision. Just go play. Go play. I don't want to see you right now. I don't want to hear you. Not giving it any attention, but not being aware. And that awareness is important, because that the stories that we tell ourselves, that's the crazy part. And it's like, is that true? So much things that hit me. You start talking about the numbers you're talking about, not besides your 3632 or whatever you said it was.
624.
624. See, it just wasn't my thing, because I don't see 624. That's yours. But for me, it's 222s, the 333s, the 444s. I even have the 666s, and then I told someone, they're like, "Oh, I got to get that changed." I said, "Why?" It's just that's just interpretation, right? What are the 3 6s? It's 18. It's a 9. It's just endings for new beginnings. That's all that it is. It's whatever you want to program it to be, but it's simple. In my world, it's simple. It's just they're just another number with another message.
And
I get a lot of animals. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to put a side note in there that if you actually look up the history of the number 666, it's actually a very high vibrational spiritual number that was created to be a negative number. So and I learned that because my mentor created an oracle deck, and she's got numbers, animals, symbols, and like ascended masters. Those are what's on the cards. And the numbers, it's not just 1, 2. She used 111, 222, 333, right? And so 666 is in there. And when she was doing her launch for the card deck, she gave a class talking about just like a whole class, but she mentioned it in her class about the number 666, and that it actually was back years and years ago, very high it is still, it's our own perception that it is a very high vibrational number, if we so choose to look at it that way. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in as a side note for anybody who's having that angst when they see that number show up. Now, I've seen it and I'm like, oh, look at that number popping up. Isn't that cool? Right? I'm changing that program in me since I've heard that.
Yeah.
I didn't know until she said it.
Awesome. It's just redefining what the definition is again. So we're not it's making it something good. Everything can be, we could take anything and make it a positive or a negative. It's totally up to us.
Let's just be real. If we said, well, and I'm just using this as an example, I'm not against gays or anything. you know, we have the rainbow. We look at the rainbow, we love the rainbow, but now if you put the rainbow sticker on your car, then you're part of the gay community. Some people don't like that. So now the rainbow has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
It's about perception. So we don't need to go down that route. I'm just using that as an example. That it's going to be what you make it.
Yeah.
So,
And then whatever you put into it when you're doing it, that's the energy that you're putting out to the world too.
yeah.
So it's just recognizing a lot of different things, really. But everything. So you're even like the card you're talking about talks about the animals. Well, like yesterday, I counted 9 ducks down in the pond. I thought, well, that's the most I've seen. So Vivi and I were counting them, and then we watched them fly away, and there was 9 of them. So, but I looked up the ducks? No, not yet. I haven't.
But 9's your
Um,
year this year, right?
9 is my year this year. So it shows up a lot. It really shows up a lot. I got to see last week on Thursday, I saw 3 deer on the way home. So that was freaking cool. I've been seeing road runners. I've seen 5 so far in the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
They've been
It's so
crossing.
cold out.
They're right there though. It's like they're keep crossing my path. So
Cool.
I guess until I get the message. So I must not have gotten the message all the way. So I'll have to look that up again too.
Where's the roadrunner?
But it's so great. But there's messages for all this stuff, and then an owl. So it's like all these things they're all messages. And then when you're looking this stuff up, or even if you don't look it up, it's like really sit with yourself and then feel, I wonder what that message was from this. And then the answers will show up. We don't necessarily have to look it up. But right now, if you're not connected where you feel like you can meditate, you can feel those responses and hear the messages, then it's reading this stuff and then see how it resonates. Well, also at the same time, you being open and not trying to control what it's trying to say to you, because I'm a positive person. So
Yeah.
for me, if it says anything negative, I'm like, no, that's not for me at all. I don't even put any attention into it. Before I used to think that was a bad thing, but now I know that it's just, I'm not programmed that way. Gosh, when I watched the spirit, good Lord. When I watched The Secret, it totally resonated with me, and it was strange. Then if you would have said that resonated with you, I'd have been like, "What are you talking about? What resonate?" And defensive. What do you mean? What are you talking about? What do you mean it resonated with me? Like snotty. That would have been my whole attitude, honestly, because that's where I was at the time. But it also opened me up to see things more positive. Of course, I tried to cram it down everybody's throats.
Oh
After
yeah, I
that.
did too.
Shove it
Didn't
into
work
their
out so well.
minds, and I played it all the time. You got into my truck, you were listening to the CDs. I had the book that I would read. There was always something
Yeah.
to reinforce it.
So I had to look up Roadrunner because I thought, oh, we need to know what that is, Bev, now that you keep saying it. Says one thing says luck and protection. So upon entering your awareness, you may find your fortune improves or your ability to see opportunities expand. Another one says, I'm just using Google, Roadrunner symbolism is reminding you that you must take quick action on your ideas. The Roadrunner is known for its speed, endurance, and strength. This powerful bird can be a symbol of good luck. So anyway, I just need to know some of those.
Gotcha.
It
Yeah,
is.
no, it's in prominence. The one I almost hit, I had to pull over and make sure it wasn't on my grill. Like seriously, because
yeah.
I saw him and he was right there. So I pulled over and I looked and he wasn't there, because I looked in the rear view mirror. He wasn't there. It's like, oh man. And they're fast. I know they're
Yeah,
fast, but I saw it. I mean, I saw it right here. By the time I probably had seen it, it probably was already across the road. But I was like, oh, good Lord, what does that mean? But I didn't. So it was all fine. It was just, again, like really getting up into my space to let me know. Well, for me, I felt like that was just to kind of slow down just a little bit. Anything that you get close to, the birds will fly right in front of me. They'll slow me, especially where I'm at, because usually you don't see a lot of people. So that there's like a lot of sparrows or a lot of pigeons, or not pigeons, doves, or there's a bluebird that's out here a lot this year, like a ton of them that's out here. But it's like they'll fly with me and then they'll cut right in front of me. And I know that's a message to slow down. All that is, slow down and be aware. Slow down and be aware. That's it. And then it's really paying attention. So since we've been talking, not today, I haven't noticed it, but I'll see these bluebirds and they're like a baby blue color. Their backs are, their bellies aren't that color, but they're super cool. And I haven't seen them around town a lot. I've seen it now when I've been driving through the Wallapies and stuff, I might see one or two, but by my house, there's a lot of them. And it makes sense because that's the throat chakra area. That's our creativity. That's our voice. Like all these things are trying to, needless to say, we have messages everywhere we go. Everything is a breadcrumb. We have messages all day long, synchronicities all day long. If you're not aware of them, you're never going to notice that they're happening, but they're happening. They're happening all the time. They're always there. And it's just to enjoy the journey and pick up each one of the pieces and take your time with it. It's to really sit and feel all that, because everything is a message. Everything is. Some of
Yeah.
them are very, very obvious, but you know, the world works in symbolism. The spirit works in symbolism. The
Yeah.
messages that we receive a lot of times from what's inside of us is symbolism. It's all symbology. So it's really us looking into, what does that mean? Redefining words. What does that mean? We have so much more control. And then write your story, right? What
Yeah.
story are you writing?
And it's interesting to me that you're seeing a lot of birds, and it's
Yeah.
birds that big birds, smaller birds, birds that don't fly much, birds that don't fly at all.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I would be interested to know if you sat with that and make kind of a list and sit with each one. So, but what I see is like freedom, flight, unlimited, but also stillness. The owl for sure, wisdom, and the owl sees, right? The owl can see a lot because their head turns so far either direction. Quick decision, take action, run with it,
Yeah.
So
A lot. Because then you throw in the ravens too. You throw in the ravens that I see every single freaking day. You throw
freaking
in the
ravens are
hawk.
smart. Those
Oh,
birds are
yeah.
smart.
They are smart. The
So
ravens and the hawks. And I'll see pairs. Like I see a lot of times I'll see pairs flying around together. So
yeah, that would be interesting to.
that is kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I didn't even think about like the ducks and stuff. I didn't think about it in that way. Because then it's like, and then I have the deer and all the rest of
They're
them.
always
They're
in
flying.
the ducks for sure are always in community.
Yeah, and quail and
They're
quail's
always in a
community
group.
too. They are really, there's huge groups of them I've seen out here too. So
Yeah.
that's funny. That's interesting that when you say it like that, because didn't even seen, I think I had seen like 9 antelope in November. So it's like seeing all these things, because those are fast moving and everything too. Fast moving, smart. Oh my gosh, they're so elegant and they're just amazing. They're amazing to watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So my friends, there's so much fun and excitement when you co-create with the universe and you take the opportunity to direct and focus your energy in that direction, instead of what you've been doing, which is, hanging on to the past. So be playful. That's the other word of my year. Playful and easy. I have 2 words this year. So you'll probably hear me say them quite a bit over this 2023 that we're in. And any final words?
Have fun. Like you just said, have fun. Be in joy.
Yeah. And that can definitely be practiced in the present moment. Definitely. So, all right, my friends, thank you for hanging out with us. Tea Time with Amy and Bev, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.